This anime starts with our main character, Amane Fujimiya, strolling down the street on a rainy day until he encounters a girl in the rain in a small square. Being a true gentleman, Amane offers the girl his umbrella. The following day, he soon discovers that he has caught a cold due to the rain from the previous day. At that moment, the girl he assisted enters the room, and everyone begins to admire her. This is all because she is Shina Mahiru, the most popular girl in school, affectionately known as Angel. Despite the fact that all the boys at school are eager for a chance with Shina, Amane feels that her world is one he does not belong to. Afterward, Amane returns home, and upon reaching his door, he sees Shina. At that moment, Shina mentions that she has noticed he has fallen ill and intends to take care of him. Shina then informs him that she will go to her house to fetch some medicine, revealing that she lives next door to Amane, a fact he had never shared with anyone. After receiving Shina's care, Amane thought that their connection would end after that day, so he bids her farewell. However, the very next day, Shina approaches Amane while he is enjoying a juice. She inquires if that would be his dinner, and when he confirms, Shina asks him to wait a moment. She then presents him with a pot of food to eat, like a regular person. To Amane's astonishment, Shina continues to bring him a pot of food every day. One day, while delivering another meal, Shina notices that Amane's house is quite messy. Being a very tidy person who cannot tolerate seeing her neighbor's home in such disarray, she decides to assist Amane in cleaning it. A day later, Amane spotted Shina in the square once more. However, this time, she had sustained injuries while attempting to rescue a kitten from a tree. Observing the situation, Amane quickly fetched a first aid kit and treated Shina's wounds. Since she was unable to walk, Amane chose to carry her to the entrance of his apartment. As a gesture of gratitude, Shina presented Amane with a plate of delicious food at dinner time. Although he expressed his thanks, Amane mentioned that he would love to enjoy one of her freshly prepared dishes as a solution. Shina proposed that they share the cost of the meal, and in return, she would cook dinner for both of them at his place. Amane agreed, and after they finished eating, he realized that Shina was someone who dedicated herself to her studies. Shina responded that she felt compelled to work hard. Changing the topic, she mentioned that it was getting late and that she needed to return home, but she accidentally left her school bag behind. After returning it to her, Amane realized that her birthday was just a few days away. At school, he decided to consult his best friend about the ideal gift for a girl. His best friend's girlfriend then chimed in, suggesting that Amane should buy something cute, like a stuffed animal. When Shina's birthday finally arrived, Amane told her he had seen the card announcing her birthday, congratulated her, and gifted her some hand cream since she often helped him with household chores. He then presented her with the teddy bear he had purchased, and Shina was thrilled with the gifts. She also mentioned that she rarely shared her birthday with others because she disliked being showered with gifts from strangers. However, Amane was no longer a stranger to her, and she appreciated his heartfelt present. At that moment, the protagonist felt a rush of warmth and nearly reached out to stroke her head as a sign of his affection. The following day, Amane's mother visited him. Shina was at his house, and he wanted to keep her presence a secret from his mother. He asked Shina to hide in his room and gave her his key so she could leave when the time was right. When Amane's mother entered the house, she was impressed by how tidy and well-maintained it was. She expressed a desire to see his room, and despite Amane's attempts to prevent her, she entered and discovered Shina sleeping there. Amane quickly explained that Shina wasn't his girlfriend, but his mother countered that Amane wouldn't allow a girl in his room unless he had feelings for her. At that moment, Amane realized he did have feelings for Shina, but he insisted to his mother that he only saw her as a friend. Once Shina woke up, Amane's mother thanked her for looking after her son, furthering the misunderstanding. She expressed her happiness that Amane had such a beautiful and intelligent girlfriend like Shina. Consequently, his mother stated that she had only come to check on him, and if he was fine, she would take her leave. Later, Shina confided in Amane that she felt envious of his kind and cheerful mother, hinting that her own parents did not value her. After this, Shina returned Amane's house key, but he reassured her that it wasn't necessary since he trusted her to come over whenever she wanted, which made her happy for the time being. Back at school, the report cards were finally distributed, and Amane had made it into the top 30 while Sheena had secured the first position, as she always did. However, he overheard some students discussing how Sheena was a prodigy, which frustrated him because he knew how hard she worked for her excellent grade. To celebrate her achievements, he bought Sheena a cake and congratulated her on her hard work. Following that, Amane's closest friend, Itsuki, inquired if he and his girlfriend could celebrate Christmas Eve at Amane's residence. Amane then cautioned Sheena about this and requested that she refrain from visiting his house that day to avoid any misunderstandings. Nevertheless, Amane observed that she had no plans and invited her to join him for Christmas the day after the party. Sheena expressed her desire to spend the day playing with him, as she had never experienced playing a video game before. Time passed, and Christmas Eve finally arrived. At Amane's home, Itsuki and his girlfriend were taken aback by how tidy Amane's house was. Furthermore, Itsuki's girlfriend remarked on the feminine touch present in the decor. However, their conversation was cut short when she noticed it was snowing, prompting her and Itsuki to step out onto the balcony for a better view. The issue arose when they encountered Sheena, who was already admiring the snowfall. After Amane clarified his situation with Sheena, Itsuki remarked that their relationship was nearly akin to that of a married couple, expressing surprise that Amane didn't harbor feelings for Sheena. They then befriended Sheena before departing, finally leaving Amane and Sheena alone together. They enjoyed a meal where Amane expressed his gratitude for Sheena's cooking. Sheena mentioned she had learned to cook from someone whose food tasted like happiness. Amane responded that, for him, Sheena's cooking also brought him happiness, and feeling a bit shy after that compliment, he shifted the topic to their plans for video gaming the following day. The next day, they began playing video games, and Amane started to notice how adorable Sheena was. Subsequently, Amane presented Sheena with her Christmas gift, a small purse, and after thanking him, Sheena expressed her surprise at his good fashion sense. Amane's mother had sent her pictures of him, and Sheena had observed how stylishly he dressed. At that moment, Sheena was beside Amane and lifted his bangs. This made her realize how attractive he was, and being quite perceptive, Amane seized the chance to glance at him and also touched Sheena's face. Following this adorable moment, Sheena gifted Amane a scarf, and the two of them went out to watch the snow fall. The next day, however, Sheena caught a cold as a result, so Amane took her to her room and cared for her for 2 consecutive days. Once she recovered, it was New Year's Eve, and Amane's parents decided to visit him for the holiday. They praised Sheena, and then instructed Amane to take her to a New Year's celebration at a shrine in the city. Amane's father insisted he dress nicely, telling him that he looked great when he did. Afterward, Amane's father inquired if he was managing well on his own, prompting a brief flashback that revealed Amane had been bullied in his previous neighborhood. The conversation was cut short when Sheena appeared in a kimono, and Amane was so captivated by her beauty that he began to compliment her. In response, Sheena remarked that he looked very handsome as well, and soon after, they headed to the shrine. There, many people admired the attractive couple. After enjoying themselves, Amane's family bid him farewell, expressing a desire for him to bring Sheena to their home next time. The following day, rumors began circulating that Sheena was dating a very handsome boy from the shrine, suggesting he was likely her boyfriend. Once they returned home, Amane shared the rumor with Sheena, who asked if they truly appeared to be such a couple. Nonetheless, Amane responded that it didn't truly matter since Sheena would never be with someone like him. However, Sheena became irritated by this and began to highlight all his positive traits in the most flattering way, creating a strong romantic tension between them. Eventually, Itsuki's girlfriend, Cheetos, visited Amane's house to inquire about the type of chocolate Itsuki preferred. With Valentine's Day approaching, it was typical for teenagers to exchange chocolates. After learning about Itsuki's favorite, Chitose asked Sheena if she planned to give chocolates to any boys, but Sheena declined, fearing it would lead to negative gossip. At school, the most popular boy was receiving numerous chocolates, but since the gifts lacked genuine emotion, he felt a bit down. Not understanding the reason for the boy's melancholy, Amane approached him and offered a bag to help him collect all the chocolates, thinking the boy was concerned about them. Afterward, Amane returned home. There, Sheena presented him with a hot chocolate, which Amane mistakenly believed was a Valentine's gift. At that moment, Sheena hurried back to her house, embarrassed. When Amane chased after her, he discovered a bag hanging on the doorknob filled with chocolates that were actually the true Valentine's gift for him. Overjoyed by the surprise, Amane began to reflect on his feelings for Shina. The following day, Amane returned to school, and astonishingly, the popular boy approached him directly to chat. The boy, Katawaki, expressed his gratitude for Amane's assistance the previous day. Subsequently, Amane visited a jewelry store and purchased a gift for Shina. He then returned home, dressed nicely, and presented her with a bracelet. Back at school, Itsuki asked Amane if he could stay at his place for a bit, as Itsuki's father disapproved of his relationship with Chitose, which led to a fight between them. Consequently, Itsuki went to Amane's house to check on how he was doing with Shina. He suggested that Amane should propose to Shina immediately, believing that Shina likely had feelings for Amane as well. However, he didn't take this suggestion seriously and chose to ignore it. After about 3 days, Itsuki left his house. One day, while Amane was heading home, he overheard a woman scolding Shina and treating her as if she were a burden. Once the woman departed, Amane approached Shina and learned that the woman was her mother. Shina recounted that her parents never loved each other and had only married for diplomatic reasons. However, they made a mistake one day, resulting in Shina's birth. Unfortunately, they never grew to love her, and despite Shina's efforts to show them affection, they never returned that love. Shina also mentioned that the scene from the first episode, where she sat in the rain in the square, was due to her mother telling her that she was an unplanned child. At that moment, Amane embraced Shina and reassured her that even if her parents failed to recognize her worth, he did. Overwhelmed with emotion, Shina began to cry and hugged him tightly. She expressed her gratitude for having someone like Amane in her life. They then went out to admire the cherry blossoms, and Shina held Amane close, telling him he was very special. In that instant, Amane realized it would be odd if he didn't have feelings for Shina. A few days later, the school announced the new semester classes, and this time, alongside Itsuki, Shina was also in Amane's class. While he was in the classroom, the school's popular guy approached Amane again, but the protagonist began to reminisce about his past bullying experiences, which left him feeling somewhat disheartened. At home, Shina realized this and gave him a hug to lift his spirits, which turned out to be effective. The following day, the popular boy at school approached Amane and Itsuki again, inquiring if they would like to have lunch together. Amane then questioned whether the popular boy genuinely wanted to be friends with him, to which the boy replied affirmatively, stating that he saw him as a person and wasn't just interested in him for superficial reasons. With that, Shina decided to speak with him, expressing her jealousy over his ability to converse easily with the boys at school, while she struggled to even smile around him. This led Shina to devise a plan to gradually get closer to Amane at school. She thought of partnering with him in their cooking class. During the class, Amane and Shina went to fetch some ingredients from the fridge, and as they walked, a random student nearly spilled hot oil on Shina. However, in a true, gentlemanly manner, Amane came to her rescue and not only saved her but also reprimanded the student responsible for the incident. Itsuki and Chitos commended Amane's behavior, expressing pride in his courageous action. Back at home, Shina also praised Amane, assuring him that she would make an effort to stay close to him at school. She informed him about an upcoming event at the mall and invited him to join her for a fun day. Consequently, the two of them went to the mall, and while Shina was trying on some outfits, 2 other students approached Amane, asking if he wanted to hang out with them. At that moment, Shina interrupted their conversation and pulled him away to a quieter spot. They then headed to an arcade where Shina won a stuffed animal and gifted it to Amane as a token of appreciation for always being entertaining and looking out for her. At the arcade, Katawaki spotted Shina and was taken aback to see her dating someone who he quickly recognized as Amane. Following that, Amane, along with Itsuki and Katawaki, headed to a karaoke parlor. After learning about Amane's relationship with Shina, Katawaki pointed out that it wasn't merely a friendship and suggested that Shina likely had feelings for him. Unable to resist the topic, Amane confessed that he liked Shina. Back at home, Shina wondered why Amane lived alone despite his clumsiness. Although hesitant, he eventually shared his past story. When he first arrived at elementary school, Amane was welcomed by the popular boys, who pretended to be his friends due to his kindness. Unbeknownst to him, they had ulterior motives, and he continued to befriend them until one day he overheard them calling him a loser and saying he was only useful for buying things. Amane approached them to confront them, but they continued to mistreat him. Consequently, Amane decided to move away and start anew in a place where no one knew him. After hearing this story, Sheena felt it was her turn to comfort Amane and asked him for a hug. She reassured him that even though he hadn't had friends before, he now had true friends who appreciated him for who he was. After being comforted, Amane mentioned that he intended to join a study group because he wanted to work as hard as Sheena. Sheena informed him that Cheetos would also be attending the meeting, and after studying diligently, Amane managed to rank in the top 10 at school. Sheena promised to reward him with a cuddle and an ear cleaning. True to her word, Sheena followed through, and Amane ended up sleeping soundly and relaxed. When he awoke, he discovered Sheena sleeping. She was completely unresponsive. He carried her to her room so she could rest. Just then, Sheena stirred and called for Amane to join her. However, being a true gentleman, Amane gently put her back to sleep and exited the room. The following day, Sheena felt embarrassed, recalling the incident. Later, she confided in Amane that she no longer wanted to pretend to be someone else at school, as Amane, the only person who truly mattered to her, appreciated her authentic self. That was what truly counted, after all. Amane disagreed, arguing that if the other boys saw her true self, they would undoubtedly become infatuated with her, which would not sit well with him. At that moment, Sheena remarked on how cute Amane was and began to caress his face. This made the protagonist feel a certain way, and he barely avoided kissing Sheena. She then quickly kissed him on the cheek and dashed away. This created an awkward tension between them, and at school, they maintained a bit of distance due to it. Itsuki called Amane a coward, urging him to act on his feelings for Sheena soon. Amane replied that he didn't feel attractive or confident enough to express his true feelings for her. Nevertheless, he approached her to discuss the previous day's events, and they returned to their usual behavior. Thus, the school sports event commenced, featuring a treasure hunt, which was essentially a competition where students picked a card requesting a specific item and had to bring that item to the finish line. As the tournament began, Amane and Sheena realized that their cards matched what was written on them. Upon reaching the finish line, it was revealed that Amane's card requested someone he deemed beautiful. However, the most astonishing part was Sheena's card, which asked for someone she held very dear. Everyone at school was taken aback by this, and some boys began to bully her for getting so close to someone like Amane, who had no aura. However, Sheena quickly stepped in and expressed that she appreciated every part of him, stating that no one else in the school was as captivating as he was. After hearing this, Amane resolved that upon returning home, he would finally propose to Sheena. True to his word, he shared all his genuine feelings with her, and Sheena also admitted that she had romantic feelings for him. Amane then apologized for his previous cowardice and asked her to marry him. Thus, the anime concludes with a kiss.